Hey guys, welcome back to Legendary Tabletop. I'm Greg, your host. And a few weeks ago, we had a very popular video here where we talked a little bit about dungeon rooms, using dungeon rooms instead of using dungeon tiles. Now, today we're going to expand upon that concept a little bit. I'm going to show you some of my more nature-oriented tiles. We have forest tiles and cave tiles that are sized the same way as our dungeon room tiles, so that they're all can be used together, and it'll create a very easy system for you to use these with your Dungeons and Dragons games. Without further ado, let's take a look. Alright, and if you haven't already, please hit the like, please hit the subscribe, helps out the channel. Now here is our base for our forest tiles. And the centerpiece of the forest tiles is these river pieces. And the river pieces have also a modular waterfall cap that is placed at the end, and then there are these regular like forest tiles, and these are made of foam. They are 6x6. They're not gridded like the dungeon tiles, but since they are the same size, they are indeed interchangeable. And if you've seen the Mordheim and Lustria video series that we've done, these forest tiles are also the base for the jungle board, and we add different stuff here to make it into a more jungly forest. But with the base by itself here, it works out for a forest for nature. Then we have a larger river tile in case we need to do some sort of river situation, and then a lot of the other pieces are just stylized to look similar to each other. They have these rocks and stones, little mushrooms, those little red dots. There's some flocking, some leaves, and then I have those some log pieces. You'll see there's like little logs that have been chopped. There are dead trees here that can be laid across and used as bridges for Dungeons and Dragons encounters. These are good to say, your adventurers are, breaking camp, and then there is some sort of ambush. You can use these tiles, and you can also go from the forest to the cavern, from the cavern to the dungeon, from the dungeon to the forest, because like I mentioned before, these are interchangeable with our dungeon room tiles. So if you haven't checked out that video, check out that one. And we have these trees to be the final sort of piece, so line of sight, and they're stylized to be similar to like Zelda trees. The Deku tree, the branches are simple. They're made from just sponges that have been soaked, regular just grocery store sponges that have been cut up and soaked in paint. And then we have these larger pieces that are much like the dungeon walls that can be used as a sort of hedge maze or a border or some sort of hidden passage, point of interest. These are the same size as well as the dungeon, so you could have a dungeon floor with the hedge maze sides for some sort of like underground, like the forest temple in Zelda, that kind of thing, some sort of nature temple. And here's just a little setup here, very simple. And then obviously you could put whatever scatter terrain, that sort of thing that you would like. And there you have the forest pieces. And now the forest pieces, they go directly into the cave. Now we have a piece here that is a transition piece. It's the cave entrance. So the cave tiles start on one end, and then this front here has the same design as the forest, so that we can simply place this piece next to our forest tiles, and there we have an entrance, and we don't have to build anything. We can kind of wait until the adventurers get into the cave to show this. And then these are the cave tiles. They're just brown, and they have this very simple cracked earth type texture, and on the bottom they are magnetized too, so that all the cavern pieces, which you will see in a moment, can be
stuck to the tile itself. Now, you don't have to do that with all these tiles. I just did that with these tavern tiles because of the little gaming fingers that reach in and knock things over, and the magnets help with some of these flimsy stalactite pieces. And we'll talk a little bit more about the gameplay at the end of the video and how we use this and create adventures. But there are all these little cave pieces that I have for the cave that are like the same color scheme, little stalagmites, stalactites. I always forget which one is which. And these are really simply just made with hot glue and cardboard and little bits of foam. And so yeah, you can do a lot with this, and combined with the dungeon tiles, you basically have everything you need for the level 10 and under adventures for Dungeons and Dragons. And with the dungeon rooms, the great thing is that these tiles are big enough that you can put them into skirmish games. And here we have a nice little choke point where we've made a bridge of Khazad-dûm type thing, and then there's this like platform for an ambush where some cave creatures could be waiting on top to pounce upon the players. All these pieces are magnetic, a little magnetic wall. See the little magnet on the bottom there. There's a little corner piece, same thing, just create a little elevation, but also like a little wall piece to make battles interesting. We have these little entranceways in order to maybe work at the same way that a door would work, and when you use terrain for dungeon crawl type adventure. And larger stalagmites, this one actually uses it works as like steps, and it will be the other side of that ravine that you cross. And yeah, very cool. And these have had a lot of use in a lot of games for my own homebrew Dungeons and Dragons campaigns. And the cave goes to the sewer goes to the dungeon goes underneath the bad guy's little lair, and then so took just a weekend. Everything's really just made out of foam, little rocks, that sort of thing. So there you have the cavern tiles and the forest tiles.
So one thing to note that we really didn't talk about in the first video is how gameplay works and how the tiles work. Now, we already discussed a little bit about how using dungeon rooms, basically larger tiles, is going to be quicker and more fun for your D&D players. A lot of times we get caught up in setting up new rooms or setting up new dungeons, and people tend to get bored, go to the bathroom, start talking about different stuff. So we've already kind of solved that problem with these rooms. We can whip out these rooms really quickly. We can set up these encounters or dungeons, whatever it happens to be in your role-playing game. We can set up stuff really fast. Now, one thing we really need to think about though is that players are smart, people are smart, so we don't need to put walls everywhere. A lot of times what we're doing with the rooms is that the walls are implied, so just a negative space where the tile isn't. This is implied that there is nothing here. Now, as the DM, I want to generally put the walls maybe in between me and the player, so that the portion of the wall that is imaginary is facing towards the player, so that they have an easy way of moving their miniature. A lot of times we put walls all the way around. We're going to block people's hands. We're going to cause issues during the game. One great way to think about it is almost as a theater play, where you use the walls and your dungeon master screen in order to block the view. And then also too, just to streamline your games, maybe you have a room that has the entranceway. Two of the walls are going to be these imaginary walls that are just implied, and then we have a third wall maybe that is like the secret passage or something. We can kind of streamline our games by putting special pieces down, and the players will kind of know that something's going on with this, so something's not right. There's a secret door, there's a trap, some sort of thing. Because a lot of times, also, we don't realize that these games can go on for a long time. Many games, just a small 5 to 6 room dungeon with 4 to 5 players and some entry level enemies. A session like that is going to take about 4 hours. So it is good to streamline things, to give good hints, to be a good dungeon master. So I hope you guys enjoyed our Dungeon Rooms episode 2, and hope you guys are really enjoying some of the other things that are going on in the channel. And if you enjoyed what you've seen here today, please give us a like and give us a subscribe. That helps a lot to the videos. We have lots of great videos coming up. And without further ado, you know what time it is. We're going to roll that beautiful beat footage.